All right, looks like we're good. Hey, what's up, guys? Ryan Magin here. I want to thank you for checking out this video interview today. I'm really excited. I got Antonio Centeno on the line. I said that correct, right, Antonio?
You did, Ryan. Thank
Awesome,
you.
cool. And he is the owner of the website Real Men, Real Style. He writes for tons of major men's websites on the internet. One of the note that I found him on was Art of Manliness. He's got a YouTube channel with an amazing following, lots of videos. How many videos do you have right now, Antonio?
At least well over 300.
Over 300 videos. I mean, they all are there. I mean, a lot of them are in the six-figure view counts. Real good following going from YouTube. And personally, I can relate to all of what Antonio talks about with his style because I actually found him through YouTube and then basically devoured every single one of his videos that I could to teach myself how to dress better. So thanks again for coming on today. And I hope I hit the background there. But to kind of lead in, how did you get into style? Like what got you prompted into why did you want to dress better?
Well, Ryan, my first well-fitted suit was actually my Marine uniform. And I think that's a perfect example to start off with. When I was in the United States Marine Corps, you're considered one of the most proeminent warriors in the world. I mean, you train all the time. Yeah. I mean, you're amazing equipment with amazing men. And more than the equipment, it's the mindset. And one of the things is attention to detail. So all Marines know that you pay attention, you clean your rifle daily. And the reason you do it, you use this stuff called CLP. It's horrible. It doesn't do that great of a job. Okay. But you do this because rust can build up. It's a small detail. But if you don't clean your rifle every time you go out into the field, daily, you could have a jam. And a jam with a rifle is the difference between life and death in a combat situation. So I take that philosophy and I take it to appearance. Marines care about their appearance. You go to any Marine Corps ball, every birthday, November 11th, in and around then, we have a lot. I think I just never mind. I'm gonna have to go back. I'm gonna get killed by the Marines. I think I just changed that. It's November 10th. Or is it the 11th? Oh yeah, I'm gonna
I don't know how many Marines I have on my email list. So
yeah, but they're gonna kill me. In any case. We care how we look. We pay attention to those details. And it's something that I try to help men understand, that dressing sharp, that dressing in a masculine manner is a great thing. I mean, you go to the gym quite a bit, mm-hmm. and you see some guys that really take care of their bodies. Then they go in and they put on clothing which completely hides all the work that they've put into their body. And people, whether they're men or women, they are attracted to men that are masculine, that have a good muscle mass, that are shaped in certain manners. And for men, oftentimes, we're looking for someone that can get our back. I mean, would you rather have, some skinny guy who you have no idea having your back, or Dana White?
Oh, I'd go Dana White all day.
Yeah. And
I mean, he's like Miyagi of the fight world. He's seen so many people fight, he has to know how to fight.
Exactly. And so you want someone that's built, that's got, really is represents what you consider, because we've all got a visual representation of what it means to be successful. Mm-hmm. You walk in to the emergency room and some guy walks out in t-shirt and jeans and with a baseball cap on backwards and says, "Hey, I'll take care of you." What are you going to think? Or are you going to go with the guy that's got the white jacket?
Yeah.
It's visual. I mean, they're about the same person, but one of them looks like the doctor that you expect him to be.
Mm-hmm. I actually, and that's funny that you mentioned the white lab coat, or the doctor's coat, I guess, whatever they call it. But I watched a little mini documentary about the mentality of I guess it was like they did a study and they put two people in lab coats and they told they told one person that it was a doctor's smock or whatever, or no, a doctor's lab coat, and the other one they told was artist's smock. And they had them do the same tests, like brain games, and the guy that was wearing the lab coat outperformed the guy that was wearing the artist smock, and then they switched them around, and it was always the same thing, because when they perceive themselves as being smarter, they are smarter. So that was an interesting study I saw. I forget where I saw it.
Exactly. And the field is called enclothed cognition. There's a lot of research being done at Northwestern University, other universities across the United States and the world, mm-hmm. in which they show this. And it's something that we take for granted, but we live in a society, especially here in the United States, that you're supposed to give everyone a fair shake. Don't judge a book by its cover, but we do it every single day.
Well, and also too, it's like I was reading about like stereotyping, and there's actually a book I read. And the guy coined it sexual stereotyping, and it's basically, I mean, women when looking at men, they perceive them into what they consider sexual categories, and that's like basically like a rock star look, a Wall Street look, a bank like, and depending on how they're dressed is like whether or not that woman will perceive you as being sexy right off the bat, which is kind of another interesting. I mean, human psychology baffles me sometimes with the shit people to say to themselves.
Yeah. And men, we do the exact same thing with women. We do it with other men in the sense of, is this a threat? Is this a guy that, I need to be on my guard with?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I personally think it's fascinating. And especially, I mean, for those listening to this call, especially from my list, I mean, I can relate to this 100% just because, I mean, me and Antonio have talked before, and I kind of told him my story about what brought me into style, and it was just more for the perception of even my girlfriend as to how she perceived me. And guys out there think they're married, that they're safe, and that everything, it's like you can't look like shit. You got to keep your wife happy, and she wants to see somebody who is very well dressed. So, I mean, I think that kind of leads into I don't want to get too many people overwhelmed with too much information. But I mean, I know you were just telling me about a cool article that you were just going to put out, like the 10 new rules of style, and I'd really love to hear some of those.
Yeah, I'll shoot through these really quick. If anyone wants more, they can just go to Real Men, Real Style. Just Google it. I'm going to get out this article, and I've already written about all 10 of these. But this is an article that I'm going to bring together. And first off, I'm going to say that you need to give a damn. And I've written an entire article about this, but you have to actually care. So I get people that, their mother or their brother or their father is contacting me saying, you got to talk to my son. Well, I really don't go down that route because honestly, if the student is not ready, how's that saying go? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah. That's absolutely true, especially with style.
And you're going to probably have something happen in your life in which you're going to realize you're going to get rejected because of the way you appear. It doesn't matter if you've got a Harvard MBA. If you look like a punk, many people will treat you like a punk. Mm-hmm. And it's just something something's gonna affect you. So you've got to first give a damn. Next, I'm gonna say know your history. And what I mean by this is there's nothing wrong with dressing sharp and wearing a sports jacket because it has a very long and storied history. The jacket has a military heritage. Many of the things that we're wearing, to wear a boutonniere, to wear a flower in your lapel, a lot of guys are unsure about that. But you know what? That comes from whenever French and Russian soldiers were going off to combat. The women, they would come up to them as they would be going through in parades, and they would pin those flowers as a remembrance that, life is fleeting. So when you understand that history, that armed men have worn this in the combat, all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is actually a pretty cool thing. It has a lot more history than maybe some of the fashion trends that people are trying to push on you. Mm-hmm. The third thing is don't be afraid to lead. I see so many men who they're just scared to go in there. And you probably see this in, I keep using the weight room because I know that this is a place where you spend time.
Yeah.
And the guys go in there and, if a guy doesn't know what he's doing, what does he do? He looks around and he copies, right? Mm-hmm. And we see this, men all around are copying other men. We see guys dressing in a certain manner, wearing really loose clothing, perhaps baseball caps, oversized T-shirts. And I guess that's the way I'm going to do it too. It's not that it's my personal style, which many guys like to say is their excuse. It's really they're just lemmings, mm-hmm. and they're afraid to be a leader.
Mm-hmm. Well, that goes deep rooted into like society as well. I mean,
yes.
We could rant all day about how men are nowadays. I mean, they used to want to lead. Nowadays, men just don't want to lead at all.
I still think there's a lot of leaders, but we live in a culture in which you've got to be prepared to, in a sense, you're going to have somebody ask you, why are you so dressed up? Do you have an interview? Or, what? And so you've got to come up with certain defenses and responses that it's more of, and this is a great transition into number 4, which is you have to know your why. So there has to be a reason why you're doing it. It can't just be because you want to. I mean, I guess it could be if you really are into the clothing. But I find for most men, it's simply because they want to succeed more. I know I've got I mean, I have 2 daughters, I have a son that I want to set the example for. I want my wife to be attracted to me. It's one of those things you were talking about it earlier, but I love it when my wife looks great and I dress well for her as well. So, we've still got the fire going after 12 years.
That's amazing, and I think a lot of people overlook that. Like, I mean, I know I did in my own personal relationship. Like, I didn't even think anything of it. Like, and it goes back to what you were saying. Like, I mean, I was one of the guys that dressed. I wouldn't say I was a total punk, but like I dressed like I rebelled against what was kind of normal, I guess you would say, and that was cool when I was like coming up and was like kind of defining myself as a person. But once now it's like, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I got a business to run. I need to perceive myself as being a little more intelligent than I was appearing, and that to me was a huge. I mean, that was my why. I was like, oh shit, I gotta do this. I mean, and for me though, I mean, I have tattoos all the way up my arm, so it's. I mean, I still have my edgy appearance, so it's like once I got over that ego aspect, I was good to go.
Now, number 5 is understanding clothing fit. So now we're getting a little bit more specific, but I find that most men, in the United States especially, they wear clothing that's 1 to 2 sizes too large. So you've got to understand clothing fit. I've put out some really cool infographics on this. One of them just went viral about, 45 days ago. And I mean, it's gotten like 1 million visitors. So you can just type in how your suit should fit. And you'll find either my article at The Art of Manliness or my infographic.
I actually used your infographic on one of my posts. I credited you for that. So
cool.
The people watching this, they've seen that graphic. I
Good.
cut it up a little bit, but I gave you your credit on. It was such a good infographic, man.
Thanks, man. When it got stolen by who is it? The Chive, and I was just like, I don't really care. It's just cool. It was on the Chive, even though they took off my little logo.
I always like to give credit to this site.
I look at it as my goal is to help men throughout the world. So that's kind of the good karma thing. I look at the vast majority of people are not going to buy any of my products. That's totally cool, but I find that it's those guys that. They put a little bit of skin in the game that the magic really starts to happen, that they do take action. Yep. The other one, so we're going to go to step number 6, and that's buy clothing that will be in style years from now. And so that's resisting things that are really trending and looking. It kind of goes back to point 2, knowing your history, but going back and looking at something that's worked for the last few years and figuring out that, okay, if this has worked for 50 years. Let's say the trench coat. The trench coat's been around for 90 years. Most likely it's going to be around for 5 or 10 more years. The suit jacket, the classic suit jacket, 2 buttons with notch lapels, it's been around for about 100 years. Most likely that's going to be around for 5 more years. Now, when you start to go thin lapels, wide lapels, you start changing things up, going with a 4 button, going with a 1 button. That starts going outside of the bounds, and that's more fashion. You go with something that's got like a really fancy looking fabric that really draws attention to itself. You've got to be careful with those things. And I say a man needs to always start off thinking, is this something that I can put a little bit of my money into and invest in it, and I'm going to be able to wear it in 5 to 6 years? So number 7 is buy the best that you can afford. Now, this doesn't mean to go out and if you don't have much money to go straight to Walmart and buy a suit there. No, you could actually go to thrift stores. You have to put a little bit more time in, but you can find some amazing deals. $1,000 suits for $50, for $20. I've heard of some, I've heard of guys finding $1,000 suits for $15 to $20 at thrift stores. You're going to spend more time, but that's what you're going to give up, and you're going to spend less money, but you're going to get a lot of value. Now, there's nothing wrong with going to JCPenney's, Dillard's, or any of these other, hopefully JCPenney's is still in business here in about a year.
I like them, man. They've come around.
They're well, we'll see where they go. They've recently revamped all that. But it's one of those things, focus on that fit and buy the best you can afford. Once you have a bit more money, then invest in higher quality clothing. So number 8, practice what you're wearing. And this is something I see a lot of guys think that they can own a suit that looks really good, but they're only going to wear it once a year and they think they're going to feel good and they're going to look good in that suit. You need to practice wearing it. There's this old story about how whenever an Italian gentleman gets his first suit, the tailor, when he first custom makes it for the gentleman, he asks that the man not take it off for 3 days. Sleep in it, wear. Basically, it becomes his second skin. So you need to practice wearing dress clothing. Oftentimes people are worried about, oh, I'm going to ruin it, I'm going to stain it. Well, most likely you're not. Most likely you're simply going to you're just not going to wear it, and moths are going to damage it, or you're going to eventually outgrow it, or you're going to get a little bit bigger in the midsection. I say wear that clothing into the ground. Really get your money's worth out of it. Cool. Number 9 is know your environment. So if you have a history, you used to ride BMX, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so in that environment, you could wear a suit. I mean, you're going to really stand out, and you may, you'll really be, I guess, rebelling if you wear a suit on a BMX bike. But there's a certain time and place for things that you need to wear. If you work in a business casual environment, then dress business casual. You don't need to wear a suit, but understand your environment and dress to that. And also, I mean, here in Wisconsin, it's just yesterday it was -15, -20 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's pretty cold.
I'm in a jacket, and it's like 68 right now in Florida. Just throwing that out there.
yeah. You guys are like a totally different scale.
Oh, it goes below 70, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Today was warm. It's 0. So
God.
But I know my environment. I have thermals. I have jackets. I've got various jackets for different needs, and I dress for that. So know your environment. And number 10. Whenever you buy clothing, try to buy something that's going to work with other items in your wardrobe. So this shirt right here, I love it because it works with my brown sports jacket, works with my blue suit, works with my blue sports jacket. It works with a wide variety of colors, and it's very interchangeable. Usually the louder you go, something that really grabs attention, it's going to be less interchangeable. So start with the basics, start with the classics. I've written about building an interchangeable wardrobe, so just look it up. It's right there on the web.
I'll link to all your stuff that you're mentioning too underneath.
Sounds good.
In my blog post.
So those are the 10 rules.
What I like what you said about like knowing the environment. I think this is where a lot of people get kind of screwed up when they're starting. I mean, I know for me, like I always recommend to my people as far as like just dress one level above where you're going.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I say that very loosely because I mean, if you're going to the park, like you're not going to wear a suit to the park. I mean, that would just be kind of be retarded unless it was like a wedding at the park or something for that nature. But if it's like, I mean, I live in St. Pete, Florida, so it's like we have nice nightclubs, but for the most part, your normal nightclub attire is going to be a guy with a shirt that's too baggy and some jeans and some pointy-toed shoes that he should have never bought. So I mean, like, and I tell people like if you just took that guy's outfit, kind of got it tailored, and maybe wore a jacket but with some different shoes, you'd be good to go.
Or wear a collared shirt that just fits you really well. You can go with something long sleeve, roll it up, perhaps invest in a really nice fabric. Now, people go out there and they buy these club shirts and they'll spend $100, $200 on these club shirts, but they don't really fit the person. How about you go spend that same money and get something custom made that doesn't have a brand name on it, has your name on it. And it was made exactly, stands out a bit, but isn't over the top, so you'll be able to wear it a few years from now, and I think you'll stand out in a much better way.
And how much of like your stuff? I mean, I know most of you're saying what you buy is like custom, but how much of your stuff do you get? Like, what do you recommend to get tailored? Like, what's your kind of a starting point there for like the guy just starting to buy his clothes, and like what does he know he needs to get tailored if he's just like shopping at the mall per se?
Well, one of the great things is there are many stores, they've got tailoring services, but they don't advertise them because most people don't ask for them. I think years ago, it's been a while since I've been into the buckle, but I know that they would adjust any jeans. You could get the length adjusted. And that's a small thing, but most 95%, more than that probably, no one would ever ask for it. I would go in there and ask for it. Took them a little bit of time, maybe a week, but they would get it done. And those jeans you wouldn't have them fraying and tearing up at the bottom. How many times do you walk to the mall and you look behind a guy and at the back of his jeans are all just torn up?
Yep.
Because he's wearing them too long. So I feel that almost anything you wear can be tailored and adjusted. Usually it's going to be the big ticket items which we think to get adjusted, like a suit. But your dress shirt easily get adjusted. And many of you, so if you can, use the store that you buy the clothing at to get the adjustments. That's free. Now, if you don't have the money, you can also learn to do some basic tailoring by yourself. This isn't rocket science. People go all the time and they learn how to code. They learn how to go in and do many. We're human beings. We put a man on the moon. I mean, you're saying same genetic material, can do a lot. I mean, you guys figure out very complex. I'm not a gamer, my brother is, but they figure. I'm looking at the strategies and the tactics they use on games. That is much more complex than learning to dart a shirt. It's just you're going to have to learn how to do it. You're going to have a practice shirt. You're probably going to screw that up. But you know what? After you know how to do that, you can go through and dart all your shirts and bring them in by 1 inch to 2 inches in the waist area, chest area, and you're going to look so much better.
And that's actually the number one thing I get tailored, that I get done. And I mean, for those listening, I mean, it costs me less than $10 to get that done. So, I mean, I'd entertain the idea of doing it myself, but when it comes down to it, I probably would never do it myself. I would just pay the $10. But
I bring that up because so many people say, "Well, I don't have the money for a tailor." Did you even price? Did you even call? Take a few steps.
It's so. I mean, and going back on what you said, I mean, I also like buy the best you can afford. Like when I started doing this, I literally lost 50 pounds of weight just so I could fit into the lower dollar stuff. Things like I love H&M, which is basically you can kind of wear their clothing like 3 or 4 times, and you got to go back and buy a new piece of clothing. But I mean, I love it for like going to events. And I actually bought my first Navy suit I bought from H&M, and it was like $70 on the jacket. I think it was like $35 on the pants. I already had a white shirt, and I ended up paying about $40 or $50 to get it tailored. So I spent just as much getting it tailored to wear the suit, but man, that thing looked really good. And I still wear the jacket pretty much probably twice a week now to this day. And it just keeps lasting. And that was like a $150 expenditure for, a great outfit. So, I mean, it's not that expensive when you really get down to it. It's just, I mean, I tried my best. So how do you recommend people take care of their stuff? That's another good.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. Well, one is, again, buy the best that you can afford. Usually higher end fabrics are going to last longer. They're going to retain the look of their life. The other one is only wash or clean your clothing when it's dirty. We've got a habit. So my wife's Ukrainian. We spent some time over there. And there's a lot of people over in the European part of the world that actually come from villages. And in those parts of the world, like you don't like washing and laundry is a big chore. Mm-hmm. Here, we've got washers and dryers. We just throw it in there. I mean, we could wear something for 10 minutes, and we just don't want to even bother. We just think we need to wash it. The commercials have gotten it so that everything has to be ultra clean. Honestly, you can wear a shirt probably multiple times. Look around the collar. You could spot clean the collar. I recommend this shirt, it's a custom shirt, around $250. So it's not an inexpensive shirt. I'm going to hand wash it, but I'm not going to wash it usually I'll have a stack of shirts, maybe like 5 or 7 shirts. I'll go in and I'll use a little bit of OxyClean Tide detergent, and I'll go in there and just spot clean them, and I'll let them dry. So try to avoid the dryer if you can, and try to hand wash. I know that's a lot of work, but every time you put your clothing into a washing machine, and especially every time you put it into a dryer, think of it like it's got 50 you get 50 points. And every time you put it into the washing machine, you lose a point. Every time you put it in the dryer, you lose 5 points. So after a while, you're just going to, I mean, naturally, all that lint in the dryer, where do you think that comes from? That's your clothing falling apart. So the more you can do to not do that and simply when you do have to wash it, you spot wash it or hand wash it and let it hang dry. You're going to get a lot more life out of your clothing.
And also, too, I mean, once you start getting nicer clothes, and especially once you start getting all your stuff tailored, I actually had my mom, God love her for doing this, I had a shirt. It's like the second shirt I ever got tailored for a wedding, and I basically bought it brand new, and I took it right to the tailor, and I got it tailored. I never planned on washing it, and I was staying with her for a little bit, and she just took it upon herself to wash my shirt. It didn't fit anymore after that. It was like a $90 shirt just gone. Like, I'm just like, ugh. But yeah, and that's, I mean, for me, like, I don't mind hand washing stuff. Like, I hand wash, I mean, a lot of times the underarm area, because living in Florida, that tends to be the one spot. And then like on the back, because it's like 90 degrees all the time here. So
yeah,
we do have to, I mean, a lot of my stuff does get washed more than probably it should. But I mean, we sweat here in Florida. So, but I mean, what it says is knowing your environment and what you got to deal with. I mean, if you want to look at, there are some sacrifices you have to make in knowing, like things like that. So, but that's awesome. What, I know you were saying like, the one thing I'd love to hear your take on is like some of the new style rules as well. It's like don't wear white after Labor Day, your browns and your blacks. Like, can you kind of clear up like a couple of the biggest myths that people kind of get hung up on?
Well, I would go back. I mean, we talked about the style rules that I created my own style rules because I didn't like the ones that you just mentioned. They seem they're very area specific and they're very cultural specific. And I wanted something that was more universal and was going for a more global audience and could apply. I would say, style, those simple rules are there to give you a guideline. They're a path. But once you understand where you're going, then you're free to step off the path. It's like the road. If you realize all of a sudden, wow, I've got a 4-wheel drive truck. I don't have to stick on the road. I can go many other places. The road is there to make things easy, but sometimes it's going to be more roundabout. But when you start to understand what your why is, what's your purpose, why are you dressing in this manner, then you can really see where you're headed and realize that you can go as the crow flies and just go straight across.
Nice. I mean, I know for myself, like I prefer. I mean, I have more of a casual. I guess it's like a casual, cool type of look. I mean, a lot of the places I go, I mean, a suit is over the top. It really is. So like for me, like I know my go-to outfit, and also I like to keep the rebel-esque, like the bad boy type of look too. I really enjoy that type of personality. I mean, I love just a t-shirt with a blazer and then like slim dark jeans and like nice boots. I mean, like, and I love how style lets you kind of be your own person and express that in yourself. And I think people do get caught up with, what should I be doing? Like, should I do this, this, or this? I mean, I've worn black shoes with a brown belt and just been like, yep, that's what I did. It's like or brown shoes with a black belt. I didn't care. But I mean, those stupid things I think people get too hung up on. And
I agree.
It's like, I mean, really, as people, I mean, most people don't even, I mean, 9 times out of 10, the person that notices you're wearing a black belt with brown shoes or vice versa is probably a lot less worse dressed than you are. You probably look way better than he does to begin with if you're taking that type of consideration into your outfit. So people, I really don't care what people think. And I think more people should think like that as well.
Again, the rules are just there as a guideline. Once you understand them and you realize what your goal is, then you can break them as much as you want. Cool.
Well, I mean, I know we've been going about 30 minutes now. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, Antonio. What was like and I know how it was for me, so I want to try to portray this for the people listening and why they should really get into style and learn more about how to dress well and start doing it for themselves and taking action. Like, you work with personal, a wardrobe consultant, image consultant, I don't know what would be the right term for it, but you help a lot of guys dress better. And what are some of the kind of the transformations you've seen that are notable in your time doing that?
Well, I try to scale it up, so I do run a course called the Style System, and it's a 5-week college-level course in which I go basically step by step over 25 steps for 5 weeks, 5 steps a week. And we help guys create systems so that they can make this transition easy. Now, examples of what I've seen, right off, I think there was a gentleman working in the world of finance. And I mean, this was a guy that had stopped networking. He had 3 kids, very similar to me, actually, in terms of, he really he spent a lot of time with his family, but he had let his personal presentation slip. And after he went through and he improved the way he looked, and he improved that, he also started to lose weight because he started realizing that he had gained weight. So he changed his diet. He started exercising a bit more. All of a sudden, he lost weight. And he found that whenever he would go to networking events, all of a sudden, because he felt better about how he looked, it was much easier for him to introduce himself. And so I think on average for the weeks after before he had been averaging maybe 1 or 2 new clients a month. And I think he was like, I talked to him 3 weeks or 4 weeks after he graduated from my style system, and he was averaging 3 new clients a week. So each of these clients is worth a good amount of money for him. So this was a huge uptick in business. And it really was reflected, I think, in his confidence. The clothing wasn't causing him to get more sales, but what the clothing was doing, it was giving him confidence. His confidence was translating in the way he presented himself and the way he was able to sell the the financial products that he was looking to get across. So that's one example. I've had other people go through, something more modest. I would say a gentleman, he worked at Starbucks was it up in Canada, or maybe it was the northern United States. It was near the Canadian border. But it was one of those things that he really aspired to do a lot more. And after the style system, after he started presenting himself better, he went to a number of networking events as well, and he was able to get a job as a clerk, as an assistant at a legal firm. Now he's getting paid about this amount of money, but how he feels about what he's doing and where his career is headed, two different places.
Yeah.
And it really is about how he realized that he was able to come out. He had great customer service skills, so he leveraged that experience, and he was able to show that, hey, he presents himself well. He's not a lawyer. He hasn't gone to law school, but he's the kind of guy that whenever somebody comes in to meet with the lawyers, they're going to mistake him for a lawyer because he makes people feel at home. He can talk the talk now, and he looks the part.
Cool. And I mean, everybody's obviously going to be different, but I mean, what you just said, I mean, I speak about it. I mean, I've written articles about how self-confidence increases your testosterone levels as a man, and how low self-confidence decreases your testosterone, and vice versa. I mean, it's huge, and I can't, and I mean, I'm sure you agree. You can't I can tell somebody how it's going to feel, like how it's going to be, but until they actually go out, put on a nice outfit, get a shirt tailored, go out and start getting compliments, they'll never understand what you're talking about. And that's the hard part about doing this, and that's why I wanted to bring you on and start broadening at least my scope and talking to more guys like you to kind of bring the awareness out, because I just think it helps so many people with where they're at in their life.
I think you said a key point, and that's receiving compliments. And not all of them are going to be verbal. Some of them you're going to notice that women are checking you out, that people are calling you sir. All of those little things add up. People are going to open doors for you. You're going to be mistaken for being the guy in charge whenever you walk into a room. You're going to get better service. All of these are very small things, but they add up.
Yep. And I was just in Vegas last week, and I was actually wearing this jacket with a button up underneath it when I flew in, and I actually got a free upgrade to a suite because a lady, she mistaked me for being on TV, and I was like, well, I'm not really on TV. I just kind of dressed, a little well. And she's like, no, I like your outfit. She's like, you're very nice. I'm gonna go ahead and get you and I got a suite, 1-bedroom suite, for nothing. I'm like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever got.
It's all about, she made a visual assumption of you.
Yep.
And they've got these extra rooms. They also know it's great customer service, but they also want other customers to see, oh, wow, these great looking, beautiful people coming out. And for guys, there's not much we can do about our mugs, but for the rest of our body, we can definitely, a dark outfit can slim you up. And the best thing obviously is to eat well, to exercise. But if you're in that transition, or if you're a little bit more square, there's nothing wrong with looking like the high roller.
Yep. And I that was like I pretty much wore a suit jacket the whole time I was in Vegas. I was in Vegas for 2 days, and whether this is politically correct or not, two things happened to me while I was there that I had never had happen to me before. And one was I was approached by, it would seem like, every single drug dealer in the vicinity when I was going out at night to try to get me nighttime party drugs, if you know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
And I was also approached while sitting at the bar by numerous prostitutes to spark up conversation with me. To the point where it was like, what is going on? Like, whoa. It was like a revolving door next to me. I was just like, holy crap. But
you look like you had money to spend.
Yeah, and I was like, and it didn't dawn on me until I got home. I'm like, man, what the? Oh. Because and it's hard to travel and pack really well, with bringing a lot of stuff. But I brought a navy suit and a black suit, and I pretty much just interchanged them the whole time I was there, and that was it. So it was that was like a realization for me to be like, well, not so much compliments, but they were perceiving me as status. And
you weren't. I take it you were not wearing a tie. You probably had your hair with product in it a little bit.
It looked just like this.
So you're wearing a suit, but you're not a suit. That's the thing. It's like a lot of people think when they think suit, they think maybe The Matrix, or they think Men in Black, or just that where you've got to have that really button down look. A suit is simply one it's a vehicle that you can change up and you can do a lot with it. So I would say that more men should be creative with suits and have fun with that.
I agree, and I'm the proponent. Like, I love the suit with no tie, and I mean, really, I like dark, like black or gray. Like, I wear skinny jeans for the most part. That's like my attire. So my blazers, they have to fit well, or else I look like a square up top. So I mean, but literally, my go-to outfit is dark jeans, navy blazer, and if I'm going to a club, I'll wear a button-up. Or if it's just like more like a bar type of thing, I just wear a black or white V-neck T-shirt underneath. And like, well, you get it. I mean, everyone's like, oh, navy and black, like that's some weird thing. I don't get it. I think they look great together. But people like always seem to want to say something that I'm wearing a black shirt and black shoes with a navy suit, which I don't really get, but I think it looks amazing. So, I mean, the suit with no tie is such an interchangeable thing that I think, and it's really in style right now too. I mean, lots of celebrities are doing it. So that was pretty much my go-to outfit, and I think will probably be my go-to outfit for many years to come.
Yeah, the thing with breaking style rules, if you're confident enough to do it, that's going to more than offset the supposed rule that you're breaking.
Yeah, and then some of them are just so stupid. I'm like, why? I mean, why do you have to wear white? I mean, everyone's like, oh, you should be wearing a white shirt with your navy, and it's like, well, but have you seen a black and blue car? It looks pretty good. I've seen black and blue a lot of places. It looks really good, and I was like, I'm wearing it right now, and it looks really good. So it's like it's fun. Like you said, it goes back to confidence. Once you've been doing things for a while, you're just, I mean, you can own it. I mean, that's why fashion is fashion. So. Well, cool, man. I don't want to take. We've been on for about 40 minutes, and I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're a busy guy, but I just want to say one more time. Your site, Antonio's site, for those guys watching this, is realmenrealstyle.com. You can find links to all of his stuff from that site, and definitely check out his style systems. And I mean, if anything, just spend an hour or two watching his YouTube videos. I mean, it's like an MBA in fashion and for men. So, thanks again for coming on, man. I appreciate the taking the time out of your day.
Ryan, I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. And let me hang on one second when I end the call real quick, Antonio.